Okay, so here we are in InDesign, and we're getting ready to set up the page one of the Times Republic. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm going and grabbing a snippet, and you'll see that pop on the screen. Boom, there it goes. And that's just kind of pre-packaged graphics that we put together. Right now, what I'm going and changing is the issue number. That's something that you always have to do when you get started. You might notice those green lines on the page. What those are guides that we use. And even the black lines, you see the vertical lines going all the way from the top to the bottom. Those are all guides to help us position everything. And those guides actually, they're kind of magnetic. You snap to them, so it really helps when you're moving things around. Speaking of moving things around, that's kind of what I'm doing right now. The snippets that we've created for page one, they're good, but they're not perfect. Sometimes you have to make some manipulations to them, and that's what I'm doing right now. That's the content, dropping that down to the bottom. That gray box right there, that is an ad that is not placed yet. There's a spot set for it, but the ad hasn't been pulled in yet. And that little graphic I just put there, the exclamation point, that's just to draw attention that, hey, we're still missing an ad. That's me kind of speaking to us saying, hey, look, still missing an ad here because people pay for these ads, and you definitely want them to run. Okay, so what you're looking at here that is a browser window, and that's showing all the assets that we have available for particular pages. I'm looking at the budget view, and it's showing which assets are available for which page. And what I'm doing right now is I'm going to put in, we have something called the daily smile. So I'm going to go ahead and drop in the daily smile, and that's going to go in the upper left. It throws in some extra stuff. That's what I just pulled off to the side. And there's a caption there, but the caption's running a little bit long. Okay, there you go. That looks about perfect. Drop it down a little bit. Move up the smile, the text there, so I can get a little bit more of her face. And then, yeah, just a few more adjustments to make everything just right. It's Halloween time. That's why she's wearing a costume like that. So what I'm doing now is I'm hopping over to Adobe Photoshop. When we pull in images like that, they're often in RGB, and they really need to be in CMYK because that's what our presses handle. I'm talking about color space. There are different ways to recreate color. And RGB is one way, CMYK is another, and our presses work on CMYK. So now I'm going off, and now I'm putting on some of the other page one items. And right now it's still pulling in. Right now you've got some funky formatting going on there, but it's going to straighten itself out pretty quick here. Yep, there it goes. So when I pulled that in, it pulled in everything. It pulled in the headline. It pulled in the text. It pulled in the associated photo. And once again, this photo comes in as RGB. I have to go over to Photoshop and fix it. I've got a handy keyboard shortcut that does everything I need to do. It converts it to CMYK, it makes it the right size, it lightens it a little bit because our presses run a little bit dark, and then it closes it. Really handy. It makes things go really fast. So the next asset I'm putting in, I know, is a photo, and what I just put on there was a photo box, and there's a photo right there. It is going to pop in. Where did it go? Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay. I realized halfway through that the asset I was pulling in wasn't something for the main page. It was something that we put in the rail. And in this case, it's something that's warning our readers that daylight savings time ends this weekend. And that's a little graphic that goes with it. Daylight saving time ends. And do some manipulations there. Again, I have to open this up in Photoshop and convert it to CMYK, and boom. I'll go back to the page, you'll see it update. Yeah, there you go, right there. Okay, so that's everything. I'm finished with this page, so I'm going to go ahead and save it. I'm going to go check back in all the assets. Those are the items that I pulled on the page, the stories and such. And right now it is saving. All right, so now we're ready to move on to page 2. Page 2 is always local news with us. And I know I have some assets ready to go. So, okay, so what I'm doing right now is sometimes I like a little bit of space on the pages in between the columns. And I set something up called wide guides, extra wide guides. Those are just other guides that I can snap to. You heard me mention before that things kind of snap. So I added wide guides, and that's what I did just then. I wanted things to be just a little bit wider, to put a little space between the stories because it looks a little better. So I pulled in that asset, and just like we saw on the front page, it came in already pre-packaged. The headline, the story, the photo, the caption, all is good. Again, I have to go to Photoshop. This time it's page 2. I have to convert it to grayscale, I believe. Sometimes page 2 is gray, sometimes it's color. Let's see what happens when we go back in. It'll update. Okay, it's a color page this time. So all is well. It's a color page, and we're going to go ahead and save the document, which means we're done. We've placed everything we can place on page 2 right now, and we're going to move on to page 3. Page 3 is where we put obituaries and stuff, and we put at the top of this page on the record, because we don't just do obituaries on this page. We'll do things like wedding announcements, and anniversaries, things that are on the record. We'll even put police reports on here too, so that kind of makes sense. But obituaries always tend to be at the top. So I'm getting that started now. I believe I've got 2 obituaries ready to go. Yeah, there they are. Nope, 1 obituary and then the police blotter. So we'll start with the obituary, because that's where I'm at the top, and the obituary second. Boom, just like before. Now in this case, you may notice the formatting was a little bit different. We put the person's name up at the upper left, and then all the text around it. The system knew to format it properly like that, because we've got different scripts set up to do different things based on whether it's a regular story or it's an obituary or it's school menus or what have you. And that's why I did that automatically. So when I pop back in here, boom, it's grayscale. Now this page I knew was grayscale. Page 3 is always grayscale. And let's see, I think a good place to put police blotter is down here in this corner. It looks like it's about that length. It might be a little bit shorter. Let's see what happens. I'm pretty close. I know we always want that, the black bar we call it, at the top. And there's a reason why I'm doing this, because sometimes we add to the blotter. You know what? I'm not going to bother explaining. It's too complicated. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing, putting blotter at the bottom of the page, police blotter. And that should wrap it up for page 3. So I'll go ahead and save it. And all should be good, which means we get to move on to page 4. Page 4 is the viewpoint page, the editorial page, the opinion page. And I have a snippet all ready to go for that page. It's called the Times Republic Viewpoint, and boom, it's pre-set up. I've got an image box right there all set up. You might have noticed at the bottom right, it said "Write to Us." That was all ready to go. So now I'm looking in here and I want to see which one the cartoon is. So that's the one. So right there at the top, that's the cartoon. I'm going to go ahead and drop that inside the graphic box, the image box. So it's in there, but it's there we go. Straighten that out. It was exceeding the bounds of the box, so I kind of snugged that up in there. But this is a black and white page, so I've got to do some converting there. When I go back to the page, boom, it converted. Okay, so moving to the top, I see that I have 2 more story assets that I need to place. Well, that's good, because I have 2 text boxes ready to go. And there was a little alert that came up there that said I need to put a column signature in. And we have these all ready to go. They're also available as snippets. And that's what I'm grabbing right now, and boom, there it is. So I'm just going to do some minor adjusting here, just to kind of get everything lined up properly. And I think that headline can be bigger. There you go. Now it's the entire width of the page. So now that I know how big that story needs to be, or that article, that column, I'm going to just tuck it down in the bottom. So here I am at the top. There's a text box there that I can put a story in. So let's go over and see what's available. There we go. There's something right there. Got an alert there, which means we need a guest column header signature. So first thing I want to do real quick is I want to adjust this headline. I think we can make that bigger. And boom, that looks good. All right, so we still have to go get that column sig, as we like to call them, and it's going to be a guest column. Having a hard time finding a guest column. I may have to just use an existing one and modify it. So I think that's what I'll do. I don't think this columnist writes very often, and we don't use it very often, so we don't have a snippet for this person. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to use an existing one and then just modify it. So let's see, look for one. There we go. There's a guest column. So click on that. Click on that. There we go. And then drop it on the page. Now, Kathy is not the columnist. You can see to the left it's somebody named Susan Wynn Bentz. So I'm going to get rid of that photo. I'll put guest column in. And I'm going to change Kathy's name to Susan Wynn Bentz. And get rid of Keeley. Okay, so we're good there. Let's see now. Oh, we've got a lot of text there. I think we're going to have to do some changes. So let's see if we can scooch everything up a little bit. Move it up. And then see how much room we have. Oh, that worked out pretty well. Very nice. We can slide that down just a smidge. And zoom out, take a look at it. Yep, that looks good. I'm going to go ahead and save it, and we'll move on to the next page, which is page 5. Now, this is the church page, the page that has all the information about local churches. This is something that's prepackaged and done. So the only thing I have to do here is output the page, which basically means it creates a PDF, and then our press guys can use it. So boom, we're done with page 5. That didn't take long. Page 6 is always comics, and like a lot of times, we have a snippet for that. It's called the comics snippet. You'll see that all of these comics frames will pop right in. And here, this is something that's really fun. We have a utility called Comics Flow. And boom! We have all of our comics in a centralized location. They all have the same file name, and it knows where to grab them. It knows where to put them. The only thing I have to do on this page is the solution to the crossword. I have to manually place that. So I have to figure out where the answer is when it actually published. I have to look at the date there. And I believe that's it. So I'll drop it in. Have to do a little bit of adjustment. So that's kind of a box on top of a box. There we go. And this page is done. So I'm going to go ahead and output it because we are done. And on to the next page. Okay, pages 7 and 8, they're both entertainment pages, and they contain our TV guides and movie reviews, anything that really has to do with entertainment. Okay, there is one thing that there's not a whole lot of room to put a story in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to first, I'm searching for the TV guides. They're pre-packaged, ready to go, and I'm finding it now. Drop it in that box. Let me go find the next one, the next day. Now it's in that box. Now I don't like the way the background of those text or those image boxes are gray, so I'm going to change that to white. And there we go. That makes it look a little bit cleaner. So with that, we're done with the page, and we can go ahead and let it go. What I'm doing right now is if you move any ads around and then close the page and then come back later, BLOX will automatically put the ads back in their original position even though I moved them. So what I did was I just overrode that tendency because I know we're not going to come back to this. Okay, so page 7 is done. Moving on to page 8. You may recall I said this is another entertainment page, so we'll put entertainment at the top. So I'm going to grab the next 2 days of TV guides, and they're there. And again, they have that gray background. I don't want that. Let's turn them white. And we got a little space at the top to put a story. I believe they've got something queued up for me, so let's go see what's available. Okay, scrolling down. Let's see, there it is right there. That looks like it'll fit pretty well, so let's go ahead and pull it in and see what happens. I have a hunch this is going to pull right in. Yeah, not bad. The headline's a little long. Let's reduce the size of that. Get it all on one line. There we go. Very nice. Reduce the size of that. It's a little. There we go. Nudge that down a little bit. Take a look at the page. Haha! Boom. That looks good. So let's go ahead and output it, no, can't output it yet. Don't have approval. We'll just go ahead and save it and let the editor take a look at it at her leisure. So that is it. That's pretty much what it looks like whenever we use blocks to create newspapers.